Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jimenez, and what I wanted to do was to give you a supplemental piece of information when it comes to behaviorism. This week, in week 4, we're looking at the applications of behaviorism in the classroom environment. And one thing that I feel like we should also look at, especially because we are in the educational technology program, is how does behaviorism fit at a high level with educational or instructional technologies? So one of the first things I wanted to kind of level set is just remind everyone about what behaviorism is. Again, behaviorism is focused on observable behavior. It's based on the works of Thorndike and Skinner, to name a few. But we also found that when it comes to looking at behaviorism, we're looking at both behavior as a result of stimulus responses. We're looking at the kinds of conditioning, in this case, whether operant conditioning or other traditional conditioning has been used. We also look at the behavior that is determined by the environment in which the learner exists. So when it comes to behaviorism, much of the concepts and ideas are really around how a person is affected by these rewards, punishments, both negative and positive reinforcement strategies, etc. So we know have an idea of how behaviorism works, and we will be learning about how to apply these principles in the classroom. Many of you have started talking about this in the discussion board during week 3, which is wonderful, and it will serve as a great primer to what we'll get into week 4. But I felt it's also important for us to look at, well, does behavior strategies exist, or do behavior strategies exist in today's applications, specifically within educational technology? And the answer is yes, it does. But before we can go there, one thing that came up during one of our talks in the last week when I did the optional webinar for Project One, there was a question that came up around, not so much a question, but a statement around the broad definition that I tend to use when it comes to educational technology. And I thought it would be important to bring it up here because I want you to think about educational technology as not just being a computer, a tablet, a mobile phone, but looking at technology in a broader context. And the fact is that technology is any tool that can be used, any tool, any resource, any process that can help you, the learner, improve performance. And if you look at the definition that's provided here by the Association of Educational Communications and Technology, it looks at EdTech or instructional tech, however you want to define it, as the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological resources and processes. And again, if you think about technology over the centuries, the textbook at one point was a technology. The pen and pencil was a technology. Again, these are all non-digital technologies that were there to help learners in terms of the learning process. And even before that, you had technologies such as the blackboard, aka the slate blackboard, that was used for learning. All these innovations eventually gave way to more electronic means of tools such as film, television, radio, and eventually the rise of mainframes and microcomputers, and ultimately the apps and tablets and tools that we use today in the classroom. What's important to understand is that by having such a broad definition, we can begin to look at a variety of tools that can support learning and ask ourselves, how are behaviorist notions of learning applied or supported by these very tools? So what I wanted to do was just give you some very high-level examples of where behaviorism is used and or applied in tools that some of you may already be using today. BrainPop, which really is an instructional website that hosts a variety of different videos on a variety of different topics, offers, in this case, some videos that are followed by short quizzes that give you a response. So there's a stimulus, there's a response, and you're able to get a sense of whether your answer was correct or not, and you can it actually will provide some encouragement to try to get you to assess your own learning, which is really a key element of providing different forms of stimulus to a learner. Because again, you're getting that reward punishment concept that's being given to you in terms of being able to pass those quizzes. We see similar concepts in the use of Class Dojo. And Class Dojo is a tool that can be used for both not only behaviorism, but gamification. And this is a key concept. If you look at many of the educational games that are out there, again, games for learning, serious games, whichever term you'd like to use, you will see many elements of behaviorism, including punishment and rewards. You will see, in this case, the effect of the environment, the gaming environment that it has on the learner. It definitely can reinforce both positive and negative, I would say, behaviors through the actions that are found in the actual environment itself. But the fact is that when you look at Class Dojo, one of the key elements that came up in my research is the fact that a student can actually earn points. It gets rewarded for earning, points by answering questions correctly. But it also will take away points for things that they do wrong. So we're seeing classic behaviorist notions of, in this case, again, punishment, rewards, etc., being exemplified in the Class Dojo tool. We also see some of that as well in Duolingo, believe it or not, because Duolingo, although it is a language learning tool, it uses the concept of rewards and punishment. Again, for example, providing a life, or earning points for correct answers and taking a life away for wrong answers. These ideas serve as motivational aspects in a variety of educational games and serious games that you will find across the board. For those of you that are old enough to remember, one such tool that I found from, I believe it's called the Serious Games Institute, is Math Blaster. And I might be showing my age here, but Math Blaster was a tool where students would go in, you were in a space-like environment, and you could, you had to solve, it could be basic math problems, everything from simple addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, and you would receive points for answering the questions correctly. And if you didn't, you would die, or you would lose points. The point is, the same concept of rewards and punishment are found throughout these games. And these kind of games provide, the basis of what you'll find across many educational games. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego uses similar concepts, as well as some of the more modern educational games that are out there. But the key point of this is, when we start to look at all of our applications, ask ourselves, where do we see the use of rewards and punishment? Do we see leaderboards? Do we see other tools that could be having an impact, such as operant conditioning that's being used in the game or in the learning environment itself? It doesn't have to always be in the classroom. We see behaviorist notions of learning across all of our environments. And I just wanted to give you a sample of what this could look like. So please take a look at the materials provided this week, and let's have some great discussion about applying these technologies in the classroom. Thanks again, everyone, for joining, and enjoy the rest of your week.